Hey y'all. All right, so I wanted to get on here. I had a couple of things to say, but nevertheless, so I just came back from the bar because there's a spot in Harlem that has happy hour until 8 on a Saturday from like, I don't know, like 1 to 8. But I just really need to get out because I've been kind of burned out with teaching. We got another week before um spring break, and spring break week is like Holy Week, so I'll be doing like fasting and stuff. But nevertheless, I did want to get on here, tell you about Cory Booker and Obama after I had my margaritas. Now, look, I was at the bar though. This is the thing that irritated me. Two margaritas, and I just kind of go home unless I'm with my friends who encourage me to do things. But today, I was really burnt out. I am one of who I do not mind going to the bar by myself. Now, I get there. There are a bunch of white men around this bar. I did not give a damn. And we all know those are not always safe places to be for black women. I don't care. I was in that kind of mood. Okay. I just needed margaritas. It's a Mexican, it's like not a white spot. But anyway. But this white woman who apparently, I don't know, her friend, her lover, her married boyfriend, for all I know, came in to sit beside some white man who had been waiting there for her for a minute. And she smelled like a wet dog. And when I tell you, I was like, you had the nerve to come in, take your chair and twist it. And something about it felt like real white woman, black woman. I don't want to sit near you, or you're too cute for me. You're too pretty for me. I don't care. I don't care about any of that because that happens on a regular basis. However, ma'am, you smelled bad and your hygiene is lacking. Okay, because otherwise I would have sat there and watched college football like I gave a damn for it. I mean, college, not football. What's the other one? Basketball. But at the same time, I just had to get my break, and then I went on about my business. See how I do? See how I do? And so apparently a lot of people went down there marching on DC. They had a big march in New York City, protesting Trump. And I think all the white people and all the Latinos who thought that his policies were only going to hurt black people, I think y'all should protest. I think y'all should also, during this Lenten season, go ahead and atone for your sins, the ones especially who voted for him, and the ones who also kind of, oh well, Kamala lost. I didn't really want a Negro president anyway. Y'all should be marching. And you see how nobody got shot today? It would have been nice. Somebody would have lost their life. I collect enamel pins and I wear them like every single day at school. But this one a colleague gave me for Secret Santa this year. But because it has Beyonce with a like target on her breast and her Renaissance horse, I don't wear it to school. She don't like me anyway, but she did give me a good gift. But nevertheless, moving back, I think all y'all should go out there and vote. Black people told y'all, we know. Y'all acting like, oh, we don't know, or this involves everybody, ally shit. Fuck y'all. One thing I have found out in my life, and certainly just in working, we know white women are our allies. In the words of Bell Hooks, they just desire to have the same power as white men, which is also part of black men's problem. Like, okay, it's just like black men being interviewed now, despite 83% of them voting for Kamala Harris, because I don't want to dismiss that. But I really think there's just this hostility and animus between black men and black women, because black men have something that they just have this disdain for black women. Despite the fact that black women are raising them, black women have kept not only the community, the church, despite most pastors being men, we keep the community together, and black men hate us for it. It's really pathological. But it really is just antagonistic. But nevertheless, because they polled them this week, and a lot of these people are still supporting Trump despite the fact that he's raised these tariffs. I went to the grocery store on Friday because I was like, I know the price is going to be different from 12 p.m. before 3:30 when most school is out, because I just know that's how Trump works, all because of his ego. He can't say I'm wrong, or we're going to slow this down for a second, because he has no idea what he's doing. And then there are black men who identify, and there was this professor from UC Riverside who is a political scientist and who does his work in polling, particularly the African American community. And the conclusion he drew was over and over again. This is even throughout the summer when Kamala announced her run, is that what he's found over and over again is that Black men identify with Trump's misogyny. It's not really his economic policies. That resentment for Black women's success is ever present. And it even permeates voting patterns. Now, I don't think a lot of those same men, those like Hotep cons, are actually voting, but they are in the community. They do have an influence, and that's a problem for me. Now, nevertheless, okay, since we talking about Black men and problems, what we are going to do is, well, what I'm going to do is I thank God for blessings in the midst of the storm. And so shout out to Cory Booker. And I know we could go in on Cory Booker for a lot, but you know what? Once again, it's the Lenten season. Everybody has a right to atone. I don't care. I don't care. And people sitting up here talking, because y'all know I listen to Tavis Smiley, you know, because I find out a lot of new stuff, but you know how Tavis Smiley and them are. And he was like, well, people don't really want their ears tickled during this time. It's performative. I don't give a fuck. 25 hours, if that's performative, standing up, not using the bathroom, and filibustering, and breaking the record of Strom Thurmond, Southern Democrat who was dedicated to destroying the Civil Rights Bill of 1957 and was successful. I don't give a shit. Cory Booker broke his record. A Black man with 2 Black parents, first Black senator from New Jersey, still one of the, I think 3, maybe in the Senate right now, broke that man's record. You're goddamn right. I'll take it. A win is a win. And not only, he didn't go over like 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 minutes. No. Over 3 hours. He stood there for 25 hours. That man did not go to the bathroom. They interviewed him about it and they were like, well, we know this is inappropriate, but how did you do it? He was like, it's not the first time I've dehydrated myself. I said, let me tell you something. Cory Booker going in on Trump, his policies, authoritarianism, performative. I don't even know where that comes from. We can go in all day. Y'all think all those protests that Martin Luther King was leading, when he was getting bricks thrown at his head, when his house was being bombed with his kids and his newborn, y'all think that they did that just for perform? Yeah, to get rights for Black people, because if you don't do stuff that will get public attention, you can't put the same pressure on the government the same way. So miss me with the BS. Miss me. Like some of y'all, and you know the likes of people like Cornel West and stuff like that, some of y'all just won't be satisfied for nothing. Got to find something wrong with every Black person. The same people who were abandoned Harris, like the Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan, and now Trump is sending, I want to say export, but that's not really the word, deporting you. Really? Anybody but Harris? Now look what you got. Y'all protested her and didn't even show up at Trump's rallies because y'all was scared. Y'all was scared. I don't care what anybody says. Go Cory, go Cory, go. Okay, that's why I made that short about it. And I'm so glad he made history. The hell with it. Black people, we are always going through stuff. I don't want to hear none of them baby boomers telling us we've been through worse before. Is it? Was it worse? And not only that, slavery cannot be the bar. And I've said this before. Slavery cannot be the bar. It should have never fucking happened anyway. Not considering us human beings and treating us in law, deed, and policy as property. That can't be the bar. Segregation, yeah, we've been through bad things. The point is that we should have never gone through them at all. And then once we became citizens, with the 14th Amendment, that stuff should have stopped. Yeah, we have, but we shouldn't still be dealing with this. But we are. Yeah, we've been there before. And you know what? Everybody that we carry on our backs, and by our, I mean Black women, who try to save the nation on election night after election night after election night, year after year after year, we're tired. Y'all go out there, y'all protested today. I still ain't heard about nobody getting shot. All we want to tell y'all was our lives, Black Lives Matter, and y'all lost y'all's damn mind. Them people took over the Capitol. The Capitol. Only one person died. They beat up police and everything. Y'all claim Blue Lives Matter. until some white racist people who wanted to keep this Christian, fake Christian nationalism, white supremacist government going. Miss me. And while we on people that can miss me, Barack Obama. Barack Obama has been quiet throughout this entire time, and we all know how quick he is to get in front of the camera, to chastise, belittle, demean African Americans, to prove to the larger white audience to see he's black, but he's not black. Well, he's black for, because he can't deny it, purposes at the bank or in front of the police. But, I'm not like the others. He spent his whole presidency doing that. Okay? And I am one of those people who was, voted for Barack Obama twice, despite the fact, but by the second term, he was on my fucking nerves, playing these white people and black people. I just feel like just a lot, I shouldn't say black people, a lot of black people. When he was like, oh, my son would look like Trayvon Martin. If I had a son, he would look like Trayvon Martin. Negro, what did you think we thought he would look like? We see Sasha and Malia, and that don't mean nothing. That doesn't move policy. Well, the law is the law. Here we have a whole president. And so I bring this up to bring up the fact that Barack Obama, I think it was at Hamilton College in New York, this past Friday or Thursday, was talking, and they're asking him. He has been quiet for months while there is a clear coup going on with the government. Now, if these were black men in the street, he would have had all the cameras talking about Pookie and Ray Ray, like he's actually around black people on a regular basis. Anyway, and Michelle too. I don't give a shit about her podcast because I'm one of those people who was very moved by Barack Obama because I was actually impacted by Michelle because that was still during my college years, 2006, 2010, when he was elected, and I looked at her and I admired her because she was somebody who was an educated black woman who was with a black man that was educated, who didn't always have it, and in terms of like money and resources. And to me, that was an example of you don't have to settle. Anyway, just a lot of things about her that I admired. And over time, what I found was more condescending, sort of fake black, bougie, middle class blackness. Like her 2011 speech is filming, talking about some, oh, y'all know y'all were up at night talking about some girl, this, that, and the other. I was like, I can tell also, you aren't around black people on a regular basis. You're a black woman who went to Princeton and didn't have no black friends, didn't have no black boyfriends. Yeah, you grew up on the South Side, but I feel like you are now compensating for it, and that's why they can miss me. And you could tell she discovered Brave. She one of them black people that thought that shit was ghetto verse. Because you could tell she's losing her hair up around here. And talking about some, well, it's such a big deal when I had the bangs. That's why I started wearing braids after. No chick, you figured out that you could wear them. You were like, oh, it's so much easier than doing my hair. Miss me. Okay, but anyway, Barack Obama was talking to them, and he's in front of some larger audience or whatever, and they're asking him questions about Donald Trump. He was like, well, this is up to us. It's up to the people. No, motherfucker, we know that. Okay, so quit trying to throw it back on us like people in power don't have a responsibility to the people, regardless of who voted for them. Because you're the same one that for 8 years told me, I'm not the president of Black America. I'm not the president of Black America. You're the president of America, so you're the president of Black people. Why did you feel it always necessary to do that? And here you are sitting on stage talking about, well, if it was me, could you imagine if it was me? No, we couldn't. We couldn't. It's because you're black. But see, you still didn't say that when you was on stage in front of that white man and them white people. You just kept like alluding to it. Like, if they did that to me, and then you had to do it. You had to do it. Okay? Like a good buck dancing Tom sitting up there with me and my predecessors as if it's the same damn thing. It wasn't. It wasn't. No, they would not have talked to George W. Bush. No, they would not have talked to Bill Clinton the same way as they spoke to you. Bill Clinton, the same one who told Ted Kennedy before he passed, when he endorsed Barack Obama, that this is the same guy who would have been getting our coffee X amount of years ago. So don't play. And see, that's the thing. And we don't need to hear from you. You went from being president, so now you're trying to produce Netflix films and that old tire film with Bayard Rustin. And it was poorly done. It was poorly produced because you want to stay in with white liberals who look at you a certain way because you behave for them, which is already a problem in terms of being free. But you are gladly playing that role, and then you do cheap films about African American history. No, Fine, and if you don't want to identify with black people, go talk about your poor white ancestors back in Kansas, where your mama was originally from. Oh, okay. Okay. And don't try to talk to us about, oh, what Trump's doing when you sat there at Jimmy Carter's funeral, kikiing and ha-haing with Donald Trump after your wife wrote a book where she said she would never forgive him for the trauma he inflicted on her and her kids and you. But you laughing with him. That's why I always say people got to pick a side. If you my friend, and I know people say, oh, that's immature, that's between you and them. I'm not talking about just, oh, I don't like them, and so you speak to them and have, lunch or something like that. No, that's not what I'm talking about. People who have actively done things to me to hurt me, and then you kiki and ha-ha with them. He did that to your wife, to your kids, and most of all to you. And we supposed to care now. Oh, could you imagine if it was me? Black people said that the whole time you were in office and after. But see, you never want to deal with the race issue because you still don't like to admit that you're black. How many times did he say he didn't say he was the first African American president of the United States? He put that on his census. He would always say, I'm a mixed kid from Hawaii, or we can see that the nation has changed because I'm evidence of that. When he turned his back on his preacher, Jeremiah Wright, who had already retired and everything else, and then wrote another book when he got out of office. That man had a stroke. You do know that after that book came out. Y'all do know that, right? Rendering it difficult for him to speak and now in a wheelchair. Don't tell me that didn't have nothing to do with that stress. He should have shut the fuck up. That man baptized your kids and married you, and then all of a sudden it was, oh, we didn't make it every Sunday. I'm leaving my church. Barack Obama, you can miss me with the bullshit. And so can everybody making excuses for him. And that's where I'm going to stop it, because I'm going to be done for this. Oh, wait a second. So I forgot. Also, while we on Barack Obama and his bullshit, April 1st, a book came out called Fight: Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House. Don't think we forgot Barack Obama. So while you're commenting on this mess, how it took you over a week to come out in support of Kamala Harris. And what it's giving is I wanted to be the only one. What it's giving is I didn't want to see anybody else be successful. What it's giving is when Joe Biden called you after Hillary Clinton lost and said, I told you, boss, when he wanted your endorsement for president after that and hung up the phone. That's what it's giving. So don't try to talk about Trump after you hee-hee and ha-ha and cockeyed with him at Jimmy Carter's funeral, and you were slow to endorse another black woman for the White House, because that's what it's giving. You want everybody, it's giving covert narcissist. It's giving, I want everybody to believe I was the savior. I was so good. See, nobody can do it like me. When first of all, nobody voted for Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton lost New York. The people voted for Bernie Sanders, the Democratic National Convention, and you can look up Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who has no business serving in Congress or in anything after that when she cheated for them votes. And let me tell you something, that white woman in her mind, when she felt like, well, they had their black president, we're going to have our white woman president, and she lost. Hillary Clinton lost. The people didn't ask for her. Kamala Harris was actually vice president, and you were slow to support her, and it was on purpose. Him and what's that other white woman? Nancy Pelosi, like, oh, we need a clear process, not 100 days before the election. Since when? Since when? And why did y'all wait before 3 months to sit Joe Biden down? Y'all knew. Y'all watched that black woman fail. And that's why Kamala Harris, I know there wasn't no fake moment when she turned around and heard Barack Obama laughing with Trump and she looked and rolled her eyes. That wasn't no fake moment. She knew what kind of person he is and had to be professional. Nothing worse than losing a major election like that, having to go back to work as a black woman in that kind of position and still keep it up. Barack Obama, you can kiss my ass, but this book, because I plan on reading it, especially over break, Fight Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House by Jonathan Allen and Ami Pons, Amieparnes. It just came out. And that is so typical Barack Obama, to try to set up an interview 2 days after that book comes out so he can start helping curb the narrative. That's why he wrote the 9,000-page books that didn't nobody ask for. Nobody is more dedicated to maintaining their narrative than he is. And I predict that Barack Obama's legacy is going to be a lot like Booker T. Washington's. Like in the moment, people thought, "Oh my gosh, he's a black man. He's a millionaire. He built these schools, this, that, and the other." While he, you know, blackface and made fun of black people and watermelon chicken jokes in front of white people to get money. And people say, oh, because it went to the school. It had a larger issue. The Atlanta Exposition Address, where he basically says, see, we'll go by your segregation rules as long as we can just trade with y'all and have money. We'll be good to you. And we've been good to you. We've cried at your graves instead of those immigrants that are now coming, taking our jobs. And in the moment, it felt good. And now, historically, you look back and you realize W.E.B. Du Bois, Mary Church Terrell, Anna Julia Cooper, Ida B. Wells. Notably, you see how most of these people are women, right? You look back and realize, oh, they were right all along because they saw that in the long term, what he was doing wouldn't be good for black people, and it was not. And it was not. Up from slavery, he tried to control his narrative just like Barack Obama did. And Barack Obama can miss me with the bullshit. All right, anyway, that's all I got to say for the moment. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.